Following the soft lunar landing of a faulty space probe, Moonstone 6, N9SA has refitted Moonstone 7 and 8 for launches early on in 1969. Meanwhile, an alternate soft lander has been readied for flight and lifts off atop a Raven 4 launch vehicle, the same rocket responsible for sending the very first interplanetary probes of the program 2 years ago. Unfortunately, the second stage experiences an explosive failure and dooms the mission to fall down back into the atmosphere. Normally, these failures are but a mere inconvenience for the program as a whole, but this year is different. If N9SA does not fly a Kerbal around the moon and return them safely to the Earth by the end of 1969, funding will be cut and the Space Center will be shut down. Technology required to pull this off is still lacking, awaiting arbitrary science points to unlock them. Thus, mission failures have much more of an impact than usual. So like clockwork, missions roll out onto the pad. Moonstone 7 enters low Earth orbit and begins to plan its journey towards the moon. Successfully performing a translunar injection, the probe's trajectory is set on course for impact, a much steeper approach than previously attempted or even tested for, though for the time being this does not raise any cause for concern. A previous Moonstone mission made the mistake of burning its solid fuel braking stage too early, and as a direct consequence, gravity losses approaching the surface raised the Delta-V requirement for landing to more than the amount of fuel the small lander had on board. Overcorrecting for this, along with a much steeper trajectory, led to the realization once the engines had fired, that despite having enough fuel on board to land, there was no longer enough time to burn through it all. Moonstone 7 impacts the lunar surface at roughly 400 meters per second, gaining no science at all. The 8th launch will be Moonstone's last. Fail or succeed, one way or another, there's no longer any time to waste. Spud launch vehicles are nearing flight-ready status for a crewed orbital flight, where science gained from LEO will be enough to get them lunar-rated. This is intended as a last resort, the final make it or break it. At this point, millions of funds have been poured into research and assembly. Should Moonstone 8 be successful, Spud will have 3 attempts to reach the moon and save N9SA. Just shy of 11 minutes into flight, one of the Dwal RL-10A-1 engines experiences performance loss. It is unclear whether fuel flow, pressurization, or structural failure has gone wrong, but one thing is clear: Moonstone 8 has failed, and the pressure is mounting. As a gesture of desperation, teams on the ground decide to fire Moonstone's engines forward at apogee, sending the failed mission into interplanetary space rather than have it burn up in the atmosphere, perhaps an offering to the void, or a symbol of Moonstone's demise. All eyes turn to Spud and the 2 pilots who have trained for its flight. There's only time and money for 3 flights of Spud before the inevitable occurs, and now, one of those flights will no longer be an attempt at the moon, lowering the chances of success. Spud 0 will attempt to reach low Earth orbit and collect the necessary scientific data to move forward with the program's grander goal. Our pilot for Spud's debut flight, O. Kerman, rides atop this dangerous machine, reporting everything is okay to ground control. There's no time for test flights, only results. The 8 liquid-fueled boosters have been designed with engine-out capability, pumping fuel from all tanks through to all outer engines via an intricate pipe system. This, along with decent gimbal capability, mean an engine failing shouldn't pose any significant hindrance to the mission. Should a core engine fail, however, that is a different story. The booster stages burn through their fuel and jettison from the launch vehicle. For those on the ground watching today's spectacle, it is like nothing they have ever seen before. Approaching orbital speed with no signs of trouble, OK jettisons from the second stage in preparation for his final burn into orbit of the Earth, bracing for the roar of the engine pushing G-forces against his back. But something isn't right. The vehicle is silent and slowly drifting to the port side. The slow rotation allows OK to view the second stage behind him, along with a heat shield and the third stage, 2 things that are meant to remain with the vehicle to orbit. The realization hits that the mission has failed, and the craft is going to fall back into the atmosphere. Without the heat shield to protect Spud's service module, the pilot must jettison his capsule in preparation for re-entry. The capsule is resistant to the heat of re-entry from low orbital speed, and is equipped with a parachute for touchdown, though the expected speed of impact is likely to be quite high, and so the pilot is meant to parachute from the floating capsule once back in the atmosphere. During re-entry, plasma forms around the capsule blocking transmission. Once signal is restored, however, OK is frantically reporting the parachute has burned away, and temperatures inside the capsule are close to melting components. Spud Zero is a spherical oven falling to the Earth. It is a sheer miracle the pilot manages to release the hatch and eject himself from the capsule. Neither the pilot nor his parachute has melted during the ride back down from space, and the Spud Zero disaster has run its course. N9SA finds itself in a precarious position. There is only enough time for 2 launches now. The first to collect science in orbit of the Earth, unlocking lunar-rated technology required to complete the Flyby mission, and the second, become the first object to safely return to Earth from past the moon. Both must succeed, or there is no longer any hope. A second Spud Zero mission is underway. Kermit Kerman's first flight for the program. The pilot is especially instructed to, quote, triple check staging, end quote. There are more firsts for this flight than that, however. Replacing the location of Spud's parachute is a bulky airlock to be deployed once reaching space. This airlock inflates over time utilizing pressure and atmosphere from onboard systems and provides more room for the pilot to relax on their stressful endeavor. Not only this, but provides an enclosed area for depressurization to occur, allowing a door to open to the vacuum of space. Kermit Kerman is to be the first Kerbal to fly around the Earth, encompassed by nothing more than their own spacesuit. Perhaps a publicity stunt to ensure future funding should the coming lunar mission not succeed, or perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity which isn't guaranteed to ever occur again given the current circumstance. Either way, it provides an additional benefit of acquiring more scientific data and experience which will directly benefit the program's research effort. Spud Zero's second flight successfully reaches orbit of the Earth, and relief felt by all those watching from solid ground is substantial to say the least. Kermit Kerman can now take his time monitoring systems, reporting to ground stations, and preparing for his personal venture outside of the vehicle, of which the latter is the most anticipated for understandable reasons. The airlock fully deploys and the pilot is ready for the very first extravehicular activity, simply tasked with reporting observations and given the never-before-used suit jetpack some maneuver testing. Kermit exits the airlock and lets go, drifting into the weightless black soaring above the Earth's surface from hundreds of kilometers up. This is breathtaking for him. Several orbits later, all scientific ventures completed, Spud 0 is ready to return to the Earth. Surviving the initial re-entry with no unplanned occurrences, Kermit jettisons from the service module and readies himself to leap from the capsule. He will return to Earth a hero, a name known by all, providing the endeavor of space exploration with one last chance to continue. One final flight. A true to the phrase moon or bust mission. It all weighs on the shoulders of Spud 1 and its pilot OK. His initials are something of a good luck charm, and Kraken knows he's gonna need it. Breaking my fall, shattered bones are all I foresee here. Is it my fault all alone? I've learned to adhere. Really should have called, but I don't. And now it's too late at this stage. The signal just fades away. Within walls are all that old. The vacuum of space. Close my eyes, I'd rather not witness my own demise. I keep myself distant, yeah, you were right to question the mission to fly far out of vision. And I hear you say, I hear you say, I'll follow you down. Gravity is well encapsulated in fiery swell. Far from the ground, heaven meets hell. Burning with drive where the stratosphere dwells. Light up the sky with a story to tell. Travelers dream of the stars now fulfilled. And all that remains a daring farewell. You'll be alright, safe inside of your shell. When I left, I thought I had it all sorted out. Is it my time? Will I shatter without a sound? Really wish time would turn back, but now it's too far to make tracks. The only way out's ahead. It's no use in dreaming of where I've been. Close my eyes, I'd rather not witness my own demise. Keep myself distant, yeah, you were right to question the mission to fly. So follow me down, gravity's a well encapsulated in a fiery swell. Far from the ground, 7 meters south, burning with drive where the stratosphere dwells. Light up the sky with a story to tell, a traveler's dream of the stars now fulfilled. And all that remains, a daring farewell. I'll be alright, safe inside of my shell. If you wanna see Earth again, you better not back down now. If you wanna see her again, give it some time. If you wanna see where this ends, you're gonna leave burnt out. You're better off bracing for it. Close your eyes, you'd rather not witness your own demise. Keep yourself distant, yeah, I was right to question the mission of flight. Well, encapsulated in a fiery swell. Far from the ground, 7 meters out, burning with drive where the stratosphere dwells. Light up the sky with a story to tell, a traveler's dream of the stars now fulfilled. And all that remains, a daring farewell. You'll be alright, safe inside of your shell. Our space program is saved after all, with only 7 days to spare. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.